that's our prerogative, and that's how we're going to be going forward. How does that sound to everybody? If I can just see, what do you all think?
Great.
Great, sir, great.
Another Zoom tip for you: on the bottom of your screen, you might see this reactions button. It's kind of just like social media, but to like say great, if you don't want to say something out loud, you can always post a reaction. You can give like a thumbs up or oh. That's so very good, very good. Okay, so Joge, yeah, let's do this.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
All right, we are going to jump right in. So welcome to our first course for Physical Landform Studies. This is, PHG501. And I will say this course right now it's not to teach you about physical landforms. You are all experienced geography teachers. You know what you have to teach. You've been teaching this before. This course is designed to try to get you thinking about physical landforms in different ways, both as geographers and as educators. So that is our theme as we go forward. For today's Zoom lesson, our agenda is as follows. We are going to start with a landform engager activity because you all seem to like engagement. Then we are going to do another course canvas very quickly. Just talk about outcomes, expectations, and assessment. We're going to follow up by our first lesson, which is an introduction and review of physical landform concepts. And then I'm going to describe what you all will do for the rest of the week, which will be more observations and a discussion forum. And so this is what we're going to try to cover in about an hour and a half for today, and we'll see where we can take this. Great. So to start off for our course, the title is Physical Landform Studies, right? And as you all know, to study physical landforms, this needs to be based on observation and grounded in observation. So our course is going to be focused on building skills in observation. And to start off as an activity, I wanted to share with you one of the best observation engaging activities that I know for our students. So my question for you to start off with is, who are the best observers? Who do you know that is the best observer? I want you to write in our chat, who do you think is our best observer? Oh, nice. So I'm going to open up the chat as we see. So yeah, we're hearing from Tashi sir that some of the best observers are ourselves. From most folks. Ooh, those who love adventure, naturalists. Some great observers. Yeah. Anyone else? Ourselves, everyone. Yeah, totally. Everyone, right? This is the idea. Every single person can be an incredible observer. So that's phenomenal. That's really great. I love how y'all are thinking about that. But then the question comes next of what makes some observers better than others, right? What do you all think? What makes some observers better than others? Are there some professions that you can think of that might be better observers than others? Feel free to type that in the chat as well. Those who are focused, right? Ooh, having focus, having experience. Excellent. From Wangi, so curiosity and interest. Yeah, phenomenal. Passion. From Kem Kumar, sir. Oh, somebody who is a born observer. I like that, Tashi, sir. Seeing what's going better. Well, there's one thing that I wanted to share with y'all. When I think of what makes some observers better than others, and I think of some of the best observers out there, one that really sticks in my mind is this guy right here. Does anybody know this? Maybe. This is a guy named Sherlock Holmes. Oops, sorry. Yeah, okay. Folks might have heard that name, right? So he's a fictional character, right? But back in like Victorian England, who was a detective, and there's so many good stories. But one famous quote from Sherlock Holmes is, "I see no more than you, but I have trained myself to notice what I see." I see no more than you, but I've trained myself to notice what I see. And just as you all described having experience and curiosity and passion, that is so critical. So when we ask our students to observe, that's only half the battle, right? To really make our students into good observers, we have to teach them those skills of observation. And so today, I'm going to share with you a few tricks that we can use for ourselves and our students to increase our observational and noticing skills. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with a bit of a landscape engager activity. And we're going to call this a Physical Landform Journal. Now, what I'm going to want you to do is you're going to take 5 minutes to observe a landform that's near your home. Feel free to either like step outside your house, or if you have a good view from a window, to observe a landform that's near your home. You are going to do a quick sketch, and you are going to write what you see. So for an example, here was a landscape sketch or a quick landform journal I did just recently. If any of you had been down to Damdum and just the mining area, I had, right before lockdown, gone out just to try to do this, right? So we have a quick sketch and some observations in there. And so as you make your observations, here's what I want to share with you, and I want you to practice. Thinking about that an observation is something we notice with our senses, right? Our 5 senses, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling. You probably don't want to taste anything today, but go for it if you're really feeling it. I know that I'm making an observation when I begin statements with the words, "I notice." So I want you to try to write down some of these statements about "I notice." So an observation, right, is something that you notice in the moment, not something that's already known. So if I'm observing a landform, I don't want to say, "I notice a hill slope," or "I notice a river." That doesn't help us out at all. What you want to say is like, what do you notice about that hill slope? I notice this hill slope has a steep section and a shallow section. Or I notice this river is very straight or sinuous. We want to make sure that our observations are not opinions. You don't want to say, "I noticed the most beautiful hill slope." That's not what we're looking for, right? Or explanations, right? So I notice this hill slope has been tracked over by animals. If you don't see any animals right now, you can't be saying that. An observation has to be something that's right along with what you're in. I'll go again. Is there any questions from folks in the group before we head off to do this 5-minute exercise?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
So right now, At my place, it's foggy, so I can't see anything from windows.
That's so great. Well, if you know of a landform feature that's right outside the window, feel free to draw that from memory. Or if you have a picture on your computer, you can use that too.
Okay, sir. Yes, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, Les, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to go do this. Again, feel free to walk out or sit where you are. Just make sure you are back. It is now 10:17, so let's be back at 10:23. Lasso? Okay, go to it. Have fun, everybody. Go make some observations. Study some landforms. I wish I could play music in the background, but I'm not sure if I can. Less. Okay, I think most folks, if not all folks, are back. So let's try to keep going with this. If people could please write, what are some of your I noticed statements? Please write one I noticed statement in the chat. Let's see what people noticed. Yeah. So if you could just type one I noticed statement in the chat and let's see what folks were saying. Oh, phenomenal. So I'm seeing some folks who are, yeah, saying things. I noticed hills on hills with calm settlements and human dwellings around. I noticed gentle slope types of landforms, which are covered in terrace agriculture. I notice steep mountains interlocking one another. I notice plain areas used for construction. Wow, phenomenal. These are some great observations and some great noticings. Excellent. So as we have those noticings roll in, oh, I noticed V-shaped valleys. Excellent, great terminology. We're going to be jumping into V-shaped valleys in only a little bit. But as these terms start rolling in, I want to introduce to you a next step, which is amazing for students, right? So our I notice statements are only the start of this observation, right? Because what I notice leads to is one of the most powerful statements that starts with I wonder. Our observations can lead us to questions. Try to come up with an I wonder statement right now. What do you wonder about what you noticed? Let's try to get a few of those questions into our chat. Oh, the most interesting part is a farmer tilling the land with a pair of oxen. He might be preparing for vegetable cultivation. Sizzling rain. Trees are in a haphazard pattern. Try to get some I wonder statements. What do you wonder about your observations? I wonder how that house, how that lakan was built. I wonder until when can this place maintain her calmness and her beauty? Amazing words. I wonder how the spurs are so beautifully interlocked. I wonder why the settlements are on top of the hills. Phenomenal. Karma Rinzen says, I wonder whether it's due to internal or external forces. That's phenomenal. Looking at those driving forces, driving characteristics. Let's try to get one more I wonder. I wonder about the smaller and bigger shapes of rocks and gentle slopes. Oh, so I know these questions will keep coming, but you're all experts already. That's excellent. I wonder what type of rock is that? Phenomenal. These are the questions that we should be asking. And with these two simple statements, I notice and I wonder, we can unlock or start to investigate all things that evolve around physical geography. And so this is why I love this discipline so much, because at the end of the day, some of the simplest observations can lead us to the most profound understandings. And so what I wanted to share with you before we go forward is what I call biotics and abiotics from Tashidori. Phenomenal, sir. What I wanted to share with you all is my path map. And what I mean by path map is kind of just a little bit of background on me, so you all know, again, where I'm coming from and why I'm here trying to teach you and have this conversation with you today about this course. And that's honestly because my entire professional career has been about making observations and asking questions about the physical landscape, just as you were doing. And sure to share a little bit about my history, so you know where I'm coming from. I wanted to tell you that my background, originally, my bachelor's was in Earth and Planetary Sciences. So I went to a university called Johns Hopkins University on the East Coast of the United States. And when I was there, I focused in the study of geology and earth sciences, looking at some amazing mountains. I'll say our mountains on the East Coast right now are tiny. They are chunku compared to your mountains here, but they used to be as tall as Gangar Punsam and Masungan, like original Himalayan size. But while I was out there, I got to study the land, but I also worked as an instructor for outdoor education, leading backpacking trips and canoeing trips. And honestly, I felt when I was outside in nature, I was learning more about these landscapes than almost any time when I was in my classrooms. So that connection always fascinated me going out. To share a little bit more, my schooling gave me incredible opportunities to use this geographic study in applied research. So my applied research background is in geoarchaeology and remote sensing. So I had a chance to work in some incredible places, and I still do. First in the mountains of Oman, and the deserts out there, and then in the highlands of Ethiopia, studying ancient civilizations all the way from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age. And so myself and my team, we really look to study patterns in ancient human civilization and settlement, but we do so specifically through using remote sensing and GIS. And so this is where the majority of my research publications come from, is in this background, in this application. And I'd say I was trying to go on a career path where I could really focus on this research, but I realized that it wasn't just studying the land that I was interested, but it was being able to teach and to share about the land. And I feel that must be what you all are feeling too as geography educators. Because what I found out was that sharing with the land was even more important. And that's how I stumbled on this idea of place-based education. And so for my graduate school, I went to this organization in the Rocky Mountains of the United States called Teton Science Schools, which is a leader in this idea of place-based education. It's all about trying to connect your learning to your communities, to your understandings. And so while at Teton Science Schools, I was trained and experienced in really bringing students into the land to study physical geography, to study ecology, to study all sorts of natural disciplines. And not only this, but I was also had the chance to practice teaching and learning through geospatial technologies to enable this place-based geographic learning. So this background experience is kind of like why I am here teaching you today. And this is where I come from and what I want to show you as we go on with this course. And then to bring it forward, the story of why I'm like physically here in SOMSI right now comes back to this Teton Science Schools that you'll hear, because we, as an organization, have partnerships with many places in Bhutan. So back in autumn of last year, I was down here in SOMSI at SOMSI College of Education, leading workshops for our lecturers down here in place-based education, but also getting to explore teaching geography in the field, down at the streams at Sukriti, in the computer labs with PGD students. And this is where I really fell in love and started to design our modules that we're working on now. And then for this last spring semester, I actually had an incredible opportunity to work with the Youth Development Fund. And I was in Punakha for 6 months, living in just straight rural village and doing both in-person learning before COVID with our primary students, but then and doing distance learning afterwards, but all focused around this idea of place-based and bringing students together. But I guess why I'm sharing all this background with you is because at the end of all this experience, kind of where I'm at and what I'm thinking, my key takeaways from research and teaching so far is that our relationship with the land influences our interpretation of the land. Our relationship with the land influences our interpretation of the land, right? Whether we are acting as residents on this landform, you're looking out at the landscapes that you're seeing. Whether you're visitors to some place, whether in person or virtually, right? Whether you're observing the landform as students, or whether you're observing the landform as geographers. It's our relationship that influences our interpretation. And so as we spend this semester talking about physical landform studies, we can't simply just have you recite and memorize different types and processes of physical landforms. That's not what we're after. What we're after is this study needs to be done in context. We have to think about our understanding as educators, but we also have to think about this understanding of our students. What's their context and where are they coming from? So my question for you as we go forward is essentially this. How does our relationship with the land shape our understanding of it? How does our relationship shape our understanding? And so to explore this question a little bit more, we are going to do another engaging activity. And this is going to be called these breakout group discussions. Zoom has this really cool feature where you can break up your meeting into separate rooms. So I'm going to separate you into smaller groups of 3 to 4 people in just a minute. And you're going to have a chance to have a small discussion about this essential question. What I want you to do is talk about your I notice and I wonder statements that you just came up with looking outside your homes. And I want you to think about this question in relation to those. At the end of 10 minutes, I want your group to come up with one sentence that combines all your thoughts. Now, this question, there are no right answers. This is just to get our brains flowing. Okay, cool. Can I get a thumbs up if people are okay with this, this description? Oh, nice. I'm seeing some thumbs popping up. Wow. Phenomenal. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And now we're going to try this Zoom breakout room feature. So I am going to break you out into groups of 3 and 4, and then you're going to have 10 minutes to discuss this question and synthesize. Okay, you all ready? Let's give this a try. I'll see you back here in 10 minutes. You should all have been invited to join a separate room now. Nice, okay. Broadcast message to all. Kem Kumar, can you hear me still? Nice.
Kyola. Kyola.
So,
Kuzampo, we're all in here. This is good. Kuzampo, hi everybody.
Hello, sir.
Hi,
example,
sir.
sir.
This is good. Are you all clear on the discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's nice.
So, do we need to make sentence as per the sharing we made in the chat? So,
Yeah, just one sentence
I
for the
noticed
entire
and
group.
wonder. Okay, sir.
And talk
Is it
about
based on what we have shared, sir?
based
Is it
on
based on what we have shared earlier?
so
Earlier on the chat, we have shared about what we noticed.
Yeah, based sort of on
Yes,
that,
and
but
what
answering the question about your relationship with the land.
a relationship with the landscape or understanding of the land.
And how does that influence what you notice or what you wonder? Okay, I'm going to jump to some other rooms, but I'll see you all in a little bit.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Who's Zampala?
Oh, Saraya.
This works. This is so cool.
Yes, sir. Sir, thanks for your time, sir. Thanks for joining us. We do have the doubt with questions, sir. Sorry, sir, we could not get it. We are not able.
Great. So check this out. This is our question, right? How does our relationship with the land shape our understanding of the land? So go again.
How does our relationship with the land shape our understanding?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So discuss this question in relation to your observations that you did. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Nasla. Okay.
Okay.
Now you only have 8 minutes. Good luck.
Okay, sir. The way understanding.
Turkey Dibi, sir.
Zampala.
Turkey Didan. Uzangpo, sir.
That's good. How are you all doing? Good?
We are doing, sir.
Discussing, sir.
Lasla,
Discussing,
any questions?
Sir, is it like that, sir? For example, right now I am staying here at Tashkent, and then I know about the places of Tashkent and the land. Suddenly, if I want to go to some other places, and then I get in touch with that particular land, so I might have the different opinion. No, sir? So can you take into this?
So you're saying part of your understanding is based on your experience in the land, yes?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, phenomenal. Okay, keep expanding on that. What else? How might somebody's relationship be different? Not just how much you know, but think about a student versus a teacher, or like a visitor versus a resident, or even just like, I don't know, like ethnic minorities or different types of temporal things, all sorts of stuff, but you're on the right track. Great work.
Okay, sir. So which means, sir, for example, I was just, we are discussing that, for example, Mani sir, he has been staying at Chirang for last, let's say about 10 to 12 years. And then he knew everything about that land. So whatever he has experienced, and then can we compare the experiences that he has, and then the experiences that I have, sir?
That would be great, right? That would talk about your different interpretations. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, keep on discussing. I'll see you all in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Great.
To the adapted. Oh, there's no one though.
The adaptation according to the
According
physical
to-
landforms.
Ooh, I'm hearing some good stuff right now. How are we doing, folks? How are we doing? Is it good?
Yes, sir. It's okay,
Good.
sir.
Any questions?
Discussion going on.
We are discussing. Sir.
All right, you all keep up the good work. I'll see you all. We're gonna come back together in about 5 minutes. That's so?
Sir,
Okay, sir.
from the group, one can compile the answer, right, sir?
Yes, please. One can compile the answer and have it typed out.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So,
Got it, Chin. Can you see when I send this chat? Does that pop up on your screen?
Yes, sir. One
Okay,
person
cool.
compile and answer.
Nice. These
Just
breakout
now.
rooms are awesome. Yeah, this is so cool.
Yes.
That's okay. Good work. Keep joining.
Okay, sir.
So something like that.
Kusam sir.
How's it going? It sounds like good discussion, yeah?
Yeah, we are discussing, sir.
So, okay. Any
so we
questions?
have constructed, we have constructed one sentence. So please, can you listen to our sentence and please
I'd love to hear.
give us the feedback whether it's Leki, can you read out your sentence? Can you read out that you have written?
So we're just trying, sir. I notice people's love and adaptation to a particular place help us to shape our understanding of the land.
Whoa, that's so, okay. Love and what was the second part?
Adaptation. Adaptation.
Oh, love and adaptation. I love it. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I would, that's perfect. Y'all are on a great track. Okay. I would, we're gonna take just 2 more minutes. Keep discussing how people's love and adaptation might be different in different scenarios.
Okay.
Nice, good job. Okay, I'll see you all in just a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
The more we are connected, the more ideas we have on how to connect ourselves more.
Yeah.
Connect ourselves
We'll see how this works, man. I don't know, but something's happening. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, Kuzampo, I'm seeing folks return. This is phenomenal.
Kuzampo, sir, we are learning a lot.
We
I'm very happy, sir.
Semgaila, that makes me happy.
Zoom has different features, and we are learning a lot from you, sir.
How cool is this? Yeah, Zoom is like, you can really do a lot with this.
We didn't do this before.
I hope this
is aware of this, sir.
Engaging.
Not aware.
Giving CR's energy also. We don't have to.
That's how I feel. See the little party? That's my emoji. We're having a party now. This is good. Good. Excellent. So I'm seeing Namge just posted a response right here. I'm hoping other groups can share their responses as well.
Yes, sir. This is our group discussion, like the findings, sir.
Perfect. Yeah. If each group can make their post, that would be great. Please post back.
String already wrote. I don't know where.
So yeah, please start adding those into our chat.
Yo, sir, chat na tayo. Duga menu.
And as you add your descriptions, I'm going to add them into this other software called Jamboard. Jamboard is just like a Google Doc, except it's more of you can think about it like as a whiteboard that's online. And so we're going to practice with this later, but for now, we're just going to use it to synthesize our thoughts. So I see Tashi Dorji just shared one. We're still waiting for 3 more groups to share their statements in chat. We can get those. So which groups have not submitted? Yeah, we only have 2. If you don't see your statement on there, make sure you have somebody. I bet people are typing. I'll give you just a little bit more time. I have to remember to go slow. I hope I'm going slower. For those not typing, yeah, can I see, give me a thumbs up if I'm going slow enough. Or a thumbs down if I'm going too fast. Good, I see thumbs up. Yes. Tashi Dorji gave me a wave. I don't know what that means. That might be like, goodbye, you're going too fast. Just kidding, just kidding. Thank you, sir. Ooh, there's one more up here. So we'll start. Yeah, we'll start reading these as they come in. So yeah, I think everybody can see my screen right now, but yeah, let's start checking these out. Our love and adaptation to a particular place shape our understanding of the land. Wow, phenomenal. Oh, let's add this one. Our understanding depends on who we are to the land. Whoa. If we are residents of a particular landscape, our understanding will be much deeper. If we are visitors, then we will be skeptical. Oh, that's a powerful word right there, especially for science. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Is this the same one? Or is this different?
Yes, I think we are in the
same
same
version.
Yeah, we discussed the same things.
Yeah, let's, okay, we'll add this one on too. Yeah, so understanding will be much deeper for resident, understanding will be less if we come as visitor. Okay, wonderful. I think we have a lot of ideas on here. Just to look at those first ones. Our relationship with the land shapes our understanding of the land. The more we are connected, the more ideas we have on how to connect ourselves. Oh, the entire lifestyle of men is perhaps determined by our connectedness to the land we belong on. Ooh, I like this. Lifestyle. Could I add, maybe make one change? If I could update, maybe not just men, but like maybe humans. Getting away from that general person.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Because what? How many? We got more ladies than we got fellas in here, yeah? More boom than puss. Yeah, exactly. Let's be all over. This is good. Great.
Humans.
Humans. Oh, this is great. Our land binds us and makes us better community citizens. Wow, so many good words out here. This is all great. So yeah, what you are starting to uncover, right, is this our relationship is so important. And so throughout this course, not only are we going to be looking at physical landforms, but we got to look at how we relate to these physical landforms, because that's ultimately going to shape our understanding. And so to wrap this up, two concepts that I want you to walk away with from today are revolve around this idea called sense of place. This is something that you all just were talking about, this sense of place. That's what it is at the end of the day. Has anybody heard of this concept before? Sense of place? That's maybe, well, especially in geography and geography education, this is a really hot topic and something that's so important. And so I'd ask you to write these things down. Sense of place is kind of formed of two components. The first being place attachment. And that talks about a bond between people and the places where they are. And it can come in all different experiences and uniqueness depending on who you are, right? Our relationship. So we have place attachment. And then the second is this thing of place meaning. Symbolic meanings ascribed to places. Those can be cultural. Those can be economic. Those can be like aesthetic. And importantly, these place meanings, those can be geographic. Those can be scientific. And that's where, when we traditionally think of physical geography, we think of this place meaning. We're giving a meaning to a hill slope. We're giving a meaning to a river, talking about its history, talking about its formation. But as you've just uncovered, physical geography can't be about just those tiny aspects, because our sense of place encompasses so much more. So that's what we are going to dive into throughout the entirety of our course. And so you will, you'll get these slides and you'll be seeing them throughout this, this whole time. Our question, talking about our relationship to the land, is this question. It's supposed to be unanswerable, right? There's no one right answer. So we're going to have to revisit this throughout our entire time. So going forward of where we are now, looking at this course, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be doing to explore. And so my transfer goals, again, what I want you to be able to do 10 years after this course is be able to be a practicing physical geographer, right? Use an interdisciplinary framework to interpret the past, present, and future evolution of dynamic landscapes and landforms. You're going to get skills as an applied geographer. You're going to be able to practice geoscientific inquiry to investigate challenges and propose solutions for geographic problems. And ultimately, we're here to be geography educators, right? To effectively teach meaningful and impactful physical geography lessons. So these transfer goals, these three transfers are what's going to revolve around our course. Cool. Okay, and just to show you what that will look like, I'm going to open up our VLE really quick, which I think everybody is now in. And so in VLE, you're going to see very similar to our other course, talking about what can we expect as we go through. So we're going to have multiple units throughout. We're going to talk about physical landforms in general, fluvial glacial processes, mass wasting, natural hazards, landform appraisal and evaluation, and finally wrap it up with education going in between. We'll host these Zoom sessions every other week, like you all offered to do and wanted to join on, and then we will be doing a lot of asynchronous discussions afterwards. So just to show you how it's going to happen, is like each week you're going to get an overview section where I'm going to present what we're doing. We'll have our Zoom session, and then we'll have a follow-up as a discussion and an example after this. So you can keep adding in. And just to keep you aware, here's going to be our, we have our module descriptor, so you can check out what this course would look like in person. But then we also have our work plan, which again is evolving and adapting and going forward. So to show you the outline of what this course looks like, you can come onto here and you'll see very similar, but we're going to have just kind of like VLE assessments each week. And then, so what you did today with your Landform journal, you're going to keep working on that throughout the week, and then that will serve as your assessment. And we'll talk about that coming up in the future. So feel free, I'm not going to go through each week right now, but like we're in the middle of this introduction to physical landforms, and we're going to finish up with this. And then just to talk about assessment, how this is going to break down is we're going to have a few interactive and collaborative assignments throughout the entirety of the semester. One is going to be doing like an online poster about physical geography education topics. We're going to have you be making a lesson plan. We're going to try to do some field work, and we're going to have to modify it depending on our situation. And then these weekly VLE activities that we're practicing right now. And we'll finally finish up with an semester end examination to finish. But these will be our point breakdowns. You can read about each of those individual assignments here and know that there'll be specific rubrics describing the criteria for each of them as you go along. But again, this is a master's course. We're not here to fail you. I'm expecting you to exceed everything in these because we're going to set you up for success as we go through. Okay. Well, I know that was really a quick run through of our course, but can I see a thumbs up if you all understood and could see where we're going to take this course? Yeah. Nice. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. Are there any questions about this course that you'd like me to describe right now before we go forward? All right, I'm going to take that silence as no. If any questions come up, feel free to type them in the chat of where we go, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. So I notice it is 11 o'clock right now, so we've just done our 1 hour, and I hope it's been entertaining and exciting. I was planning on giving us an introductory lecture on physical landform studies and doing it live over Zoom. But I can also make it a recorded PowerPoint with a voiceover if you all would rather do that. I guess if people are okay to keep going for another half hour on Zoom, could I see a thumbs up? Yeah, okay. I'm seeing a thumbs up from most people. And so, oh great, and I'm getting some telegrams in here too. So yeah, this is looking good. Okay, I do think PPT with voiceover is better, I guess. So I will do both. For those who want to stay on and see a live presentation of this upcoming PowerPoint, then feel free to stay on. We'll take one more half hour to go through. And then for those who want a recorded voiceover, I will do that and I'll upload it by the end of today with more instructions. Cool. All right. So I guess we're good. Yeah, then we're gonna dive right into it. So yeah, feel free. I'm still sharing, so you can see my screen. That's great. Let's see. Excellent. Okay. So yeah. So if you'd like to keep on, then keep on. I know data is intensive, and I don't want to take all of your time, but so I'll be putting this up with instructions later. So let's jump right in. Our transfer goals. This is great. Okay. And so for the next half hour, 20 minutes, we're going to talk about an introduction to physical landforms as being our one lens of place meaning. So we're going to shift from this large sense of place to go down specifically to our course content and our sense of meaning, and to provide some meaning to those notices that you just discovered. And so when we talk about this introduction, there's three things we can consider. We can talk about landform components, like our Earth systems. We can talk about some unifying landscape concepts. And then we can talk about the techniques for examination and interpretation. Now, I assume the majority, if not all of this, is going to be review for you all, because you all are geography educators and you're master's students. But if there's anything that sounds new or you have questions about, feel free to speak up or type a question into chat. And so just to give you an overview today, in this next 20 minutes or so, or half hour, we're going to cover these first two components live together. And then I'm going to be making another PPT with voiceover for this third concept that we'll describe. Okay, so we're going to jump in and just review our Earth systems. I would say if you want to take notes on this would be a good time. But again, this will be recorded and you'll be able to come back to reference. So when we talk about dynamic landform interactions, we really try to describe our observations through Earth systems and categorize them. And so there are many ways to do this, but at the end of the day, they kind of fall into some big categories, right? We talk about our geosphere. We can talk about our hydrosphere, and we're going to include atmosphere to describe hydrosphere here. And because I know you have another class on atmospheres that you're going to be talking about, or climate. And then we're going to describe our biosphere, right? And so we're going to take just a little bit to dive into each of these spheres and talk about some of their underlying concepts. So when we talk about the geosphere, we're talking about the planetary scale processes that drive the motion of Earth's tectonic plates and control our locations of mountains, plains, plateaus, and ocean basins going forward. We know that at convergent areas are where mountain belts and volcanic arcs are able to form. And at divergence, that's where we get things like rift valleys building into our physical landscape. Some key concepts for the geosphere is this idea of isostasy, right? That Earth's crust is like riding on the upper mantle, like ice floating atop water. You can imagine that we have a balance in regard to the total mass of rock above the depth of isostatic compensation. This really builds on the fact that our continental crust is less dense than our ocean crust. And so we have deep roots of low density continental crust that extend down and displace denser mantle material, supporting our high standing mountains, just like where we are in the Himalaya today. And so yeah, our Himalaya, our continental crust that we're sitting on right now can be upwards of 50 kilometers thick, which is absolutely insane. So isostasy, we can think about isostatic compensation as uplift as erosion removes rock and soil from Earth's surface, right? So our typical continental crust is 2,700 kilogram per meter squared. Yeah, is that right? No, it should be 2.7. I'll update this later, versus our typical mantle density being a lot denser rocks, right? So then this uplift can offset about 82% of our erosion, right? So what this means is that for every meter of rock that's removed by erosion, we have isostatic compensation triggers more than 80% of uplift. So our net lowering only goes down to about 20 centimeters, if you think about it, coming back and forth. We think about things like tectonics, yeah? Talking about our different boundary types that you all discuss in physical geography. Our convergent, where you can get active mountain belts and subduction zones. You can get divergence, where you get spreading centers along mid-ocean ridges. And then transform boundaries, where plates literally slide past one another. And for geosphere concepts, we can talk about lithology. And lithology really means rock type. Somebody had a question of, I wonder what rock is making up that hill slope. When you wonder that, you're asking questions about lithology, right? And lithology can control the style of weathering and soil production. It controls the durability of weathered materials and the strengths of a certain hill slope. And it ultimately boils down to rock types weather at different rates, right? And they produce products with various material strength. So then you can get things like slope formers on some rocks versus valley formers and cliff formers, looking how lithology can impact our landscape. And ultimately, this behavior is regulated by climate. Depending on where rocks are in the world and what climate they're subjected to, they're going to weather and erode at different rates, paces. And our landscapes will respond accordingly. For a final geosphere concept, you can talk about rock structure, right? And that means the overall shape, dimensions, and physical properties, right? That determine erosional resistance. We know such like sedimentary rocks stratified by bedding planes create material discontinuities between our weakened zones. And then preferentially oriented cleavage or joints or breaks in rocks and fabrics in metamorphic textures, they often dominate geomorphic expression. And so in Bhutan, these are two things that we really have to be considerate of when we're thinking about rock structure. Where do we go? I want to take just a quick pause right here to see you all. I know this is really content heavy. I personally don't like lectures as much, but if I can just see like either a thumbs up or a thumbs down if this is working so far, this PowerPoint. Great. I'm seeing mostly thumbs ups right here. So I'm gonna keep going in this manner to try to get through our content. And then, yeah, again, please feel free to review the recorded session afterwards. Okay, so our next step, right, our hydrosphere. Things to consider, right? The hydrosphere, it's the distribution and movement of water across Earth's surface that can greatly influence our weathering, our erosion, and our landscape evolution. We can talk about things like overland flow, where rainfall and snowmelt runs across our land surface, and things like infiltration rates, right? Being that how does water actually soak into the ground, and what controls that? Thinking things, and how does that infiltration rate influence other portions of our landscape, like roots, organic rich material on surface, creating high infiltration rates, and then different rock structures and fabrics allowing for shallow subsurface flow and regolith in soil materials. Big overarching hydrosphere concepts that you need to keep considering are climate, right? Climate and climate zones. Those long-term spatial and temporal patterns of precipitation and temperature across the Earth's surface. We need to talk about atmospheric circulation, talking about the orderly circulation of rising air masses, easterly, westerly zones, all of these things that you've seen, and our variations, temperature, precipitation, wind, and that lead to these distinct ecological and geomorphological characteristics. We've seen that. And of course, our hydrologic cycle, that we absolutely, the movement and exchange of water among the oceans, land, and atmosphere, and how this works to reshape our landscapes and our landforms that we're studying. Going into our biosphere, right? It defines the realm of life within, upon, and above the Earth's crust. Because it's everywhere, right? Life inside soils is something we need to always be considering. And the dynamics of Earth's surface processes, they control frequency, the size, and the disturbances that alter biologic and human communities. A lot of you were noticing humans interacting on the landscape, right? And how that shapes our landforms. Terraced agriculture. This is where we fit into the equation. Looking at the biosphere, we have geographic distributions of ecosystems, things that really follow our climatic distributions, and animal communities that generally track those climate zones. And we think about animals, how they can influence the geomorphology of the landscapes and landforms that they inhabit. And ultimately, right, us as being one of those animals, and humans move enough rock to be counted among the primary geomorphic forces shaping the Earth's modern surface. And there's a huge debate in the geologic community considering whether we've entered into this Anthropocene epoch, right? And considering how does our presence shape the long-term record. So when we look at all of these Earth systems, we can see the interwoven concepts that are built into each of them. And we can use these concepts and these systems to start to ascribe meaning to our observations. So what I'd like us to do before going forward is I want you to look back onto your landscape sketch, your first landscape journal that you did at the start, and try to make one I notice statement that uses one of these terms or one of these concepts right here. Try to add that into chat. Take 1 minute. See if you can come up with something. What did you notice maybe about the geosphere of your landscape? What did you notice about the hydrosphere or the biosphere? See if you can take your I notice statement and use some of these terms. I'll make sure we can keep seeing those terms so you can do it. Either I notice or actually feel free to say I wonder as well. I wonder how the lithology of this hill slope like influences its shape. I wonder how the local hydrologic cycle. I wonder how the weather changes so fast. Phenomenal. Great work, Karma Eden. Let's do that out. And yeah, try to see if you can add those I wonder or I notice questions about your landform that you observed at the start of this lesson. Oh, awesome. I noticed people are connected to the land through the food and the crops they grow. Excellent, Karma. Dorji Zangwa, I wonder how people live there on the mountain. It's scattered settlement, yeah. Let's try to get a few more on there. Ooh, I wonder how humans settle and adapt in different climatic zones. That's phenomenal, Tashi Dorji. Let's try to get one more up on them. Actually, I'm noticing it is 11:20. We will keep moving. So if you want to keep adding chats onto there, feel free. Oh, I noticed human communities. Ugandema. Thank you. Yeah, excellent. Looking back at that. Perfect. So we're going to keep, we'll keep talking about that. Steep slopes on the mountains, adding that in. Good. So these are the concepts that we can keep looking forward to. So our Earth systems, right? This really helps to assign some meaning to the things that we can observe on our physical landscapes. And so bringing that together when we're talking about landscapes and landforms, some shared definitions that we can describe that a landscape, or those are our suites of landforms that share a common genesis, contiguous location, and related history, right? They can be divided into distinct units that can be studied over discrete periods of time. And the relationships between processes and landforms are fundamental. And that's what we're going to be studying here. Relationships between processes, landforms, and how we as observers interact with those processes. So talking about process and form, right? These are some of the unifying concepts that I want you to consider and we can talk about when we make observations. This relationship between process and form lies at the heart of physical landform studies. The shapes and orientations of our large-scale landforms generally control the rates and distributions of small-scale erosional and depositional processes. Form can help us infer process, right? The wind direction can tell us about the shape of dunes. The steepness of a slope can tell us about the amount of erosion happening, or the shape of a valley, like somebody noticed before, whether it's V-shaped or U-shaped, can talk about the original process of how something formed. And understanding the processes is a must for predicting future landscape response, which ultimately as humans, we are interested in. You could talk about different scales, right? Both spatial and temporal, ranging from global and continental to a singular valley or even finer scale. And temporal, talking about how some things take tens of millions of years to develop, like the building and wearing down of mountains, versus things that can happen in singular seconds, like mass wasting, landslides, and earthquakes that we experience every day. So scale is one thing to consider when you're making these observations. These bigger unifying concepts are the movement of matter that we can discuss. Landscapes are created through this movement of matter through space, with the ultimate idea, gravity pulling water and sediment downhill, where sources erode in the upland to sinks in depositional lowlands and marine environments, right? The sediments from the top of our Himalaya are making its way down into our mighty river systems and ultimately depositing down into the oceans as they go through. We can talk about different balancing forces, right? The balance between driving and resisting forces. We can quantify the way that stable landscape features may change state or become destabilized. The frequency of given events and the magnitude of those things. We can talk about equilibrium versus steady state in our landforms. Equilibrium being the balance between different landforms, and steady state being a dynamic steady state, which is not static within the landscape characteristics, but that vary over time and around a central tendency. How things will change versus how they stay the same. And we have dynamic equilibrium, looking at different times and different cycles of these processes. And the response time that's driving or resisting from the overlying and driving forces. We can talk about interval and frequency, right? Recurrence intervals, magnitude frequency relationships. Thing that most changes happen in response to discrete events that disrupt land surface, move mass, and change our surface forms. And we can think about things like recurrence interval, the average time between events of a singular magnitude, whether it be a flood, whether it be an earthquake, things that shape our physical process and shape how we as humans interact with that physical landscape. So the magnitude frequency relationships quantify those size differences that will occur over a given period of time. And thinking about how those relationships might change in the future, right, with climate change. So many different factors, so many different concepts that we can use to provide meaning to these landscapes that we interact with. And so looking over in total, right, we have, again, our Earth systems that we can use for different parts, and then these unifying landscape concepts, right, process and form, scale, movement of matter. These are all things that we're going to be investigating throughout the entirety of this course. And so what I'm going to ask you to do for today and for this week is that you're going to keep revisiting this initial landscape sketch that you did, and you're going to try to consider some of these concepts, these Earth system concepts and these landscape concepts. Asking yourself, what do you notice about the geosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere? What do you notice about movement of matter or equilibrium in steady state going forward? Okay, so that was just a quick overview of some of those concepts. I'm going to be providing, again, this recorded PowerPoint as well as some additional readings on each of these so you can dive on in. But looking at the remainder of our week, I wanted to kind of show you where we can go with this course. So today, right, we had our first Zoom meeting, and now you just got to see the first lecture talking about our overarching concepts. I'm going to be uploading later today, this Zoom, as well as a PPT with a voiceover, and on those concepts again, and then general descriptions about them. Talking in large about this coming week, tomorrow, Tuesday, I'm going to be uploading our content for our GIS and remote sensing course. Which will be similar PPT with voiceover and another like discussion assignment that we'll do. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be uploading our next part for this physical geography course with this voiceover. And I'll tell you about our actual discussion assignment. So for each of our classes, you're going to have one discussion assignment this week. And everything is going to be spelled out on VLE. And what we can decide right now is, so you're going to be getting the content and everything up front, and we're going to try to have all of our material covered by the end of this week through our online learning system. And so what we can decide right now is that maybe we can have Sunday is when we try to submit all of our assignments, our materials. But this can be subject to change as we talk further. Okay, so I assume I might have not had everything completely clear right there. So I want to take a minute for us to come back and talk about some questions. Let me just check the chat here. Yeah, some great notices and wonderings, but I'll open up right now and ask what questions are there? I'm seeing Karma giving a thumbs up. That sounded okay. But I want to open it up if there are any questions on the floor for the rest of our week. Well, it's not, if there are no questions, if you don't have any questions, just give a thumbs up that things are clear. Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs go up. Things are looking clear. So with that, at 11:30, we'll end our first Zoom for today. Oh, the weekly task. Thank you, Namge sir. So yeah, I'll add that clarification. I am going to upload your description of your weekly task at the end of today with the PowerPoints. But essentially, your weekly task. Yeah, great. Your weekly task is going to be, you're going to keep adding to your landform description, that first journal entry that you did, using concepts from these PPTs with voiceover. And then you're going to post a reflection about what you observed, and we're going to have a discussion for them. So it'll be good. All PPTs will be, all PowerPoints will be uploaded on VLE. Subscribe. Plus. Okay. Well, so I appreciate you. I thank you for your patience as I work to upload everything on VLE, and be on the lookout for this content and the content for our GIS course as well. And hopefully it will keep you engaged throughout the rest of it. So again.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Other than PPT, can we have the reading materials?
Yes. So PPT and the reading materials will be uploaded as well.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's so. Well, if there's nothing else, I again thank you for being here today, and then I just hope you have a great rest of the week, thinking about how we connect with the landscape. And we'll keep moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
This is my personal question. It's not to do with the content that we discussed right now, sir. So I found one topic which I thought I could use in my dissertation, sir. So I just wanted to discuss with you, sir.
Okay.
So here the question says that the role of geospatial thinking and geographic skills in effective problem solving with GIS, sir.
Dude, you want to do it? You want to do your dissertation on this?
So I was just thinking, so whether it would be fine or would it be difficult for me to do it? I was just trying to suggest with some of the lectures.
Wow, yeah, I'll say that two things. One, it's an amazing topic. That was I actually did my master's dissertation on that topic, and so I could help you out a lot with that, and it has so much potential for research. So one, it's amazing, it's really good. Two, it might be difficult to do in our Bhutanese context, so you'll certainly run into challenges, but if you're interested, I am positive that you could do it, and I could help you out with it.
Okay, sir. I'll make sure that I'll first discuss with my supervisor, and then I'll let you know, sir.
Please, yeah, and then we can reach out and we'll set up a separate time to talk. It'll be good.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you for your interest. That sounds really cool. So, any other general questions from folks right now? No, if not, I'll say I'm pretty bad at ending. I'm good at starting lessons. I'm not as good at finishing lessons. So I want to get better at that. So I'll that's a reflection for later. But this is kind of the end. I don't know how to end Zoom things. Yeah, so we'll do it better. Yeah, that's that. Okay. Well, if that's all, please feel free to reach out on Telegram or email or anything, and be on the lookout for our content coming up. I will suggest relevant reading materials as well. So yeah, let's know. Okay. Awesome, everybody. Take care, and I will see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
That's that. Take care.